And what I love doing is bringing people in from the community who take care of you guys, like I do. And joining me now is the great Dr. Randy Weinzoff. Randy, thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks a lot for having me on my favorite sports health show.
Whatever it is. But I want to tell you a joke. You're my audience. All right, so this guy walks into a bar. I walk into a bar, and I go up to the bar, order a drink, a beer. And sitting at the end of the bar is a pirate, like one of the raiders. There he is with a patch on his eye, a hook on his hand, and a peg leg. I looked at the guy and I said, if I buy you a drink, can I ask you some questions? First of all, are you a pirate? Yes, mate, I'm a pirate. I said, oh, my God, I got to just talk to you. Not a problem. I said, okay. The hook on your hand. What happened? How'd you get a hook on your hand? Mate, big sword fight. I killed the other guy, but he knocked my hand off with a sword. That's why I got the hook. I said, wow. We keep drinking. So, the peg leg, what happened there? Mate, this other ship came up next to us. Cannons and everything. I fell off the ship. A shark bit my leg off. Don't worry, he said. I took my sword. I killed the shark, but I got a peg leg. I go, oh, my God. Then I said to him, so, one final question. What about the patch on your eye? What happened there? He says, a seagull pooped in my eye. I said, you lost your eye because a seagull pooped in your eye? He looks at me and says, yeah, it was my first day with the hook. What do you think of that one, Randy?
I like it. I'm going to use that in the clinic.
Exactly. This is like an orthopedic chiropractic joke.
Absolutely.
You'll have to modify it. All right, let's talk about you, Randy. You've been in practice for so long. You do such good things. And I have to tell you a story. My father was a carpenter, 20 below zero, knocking nails, as my mother would say, on a roof 20 below zero with a wind chill. And he would hurt. It's a physical contact sport to be a carpenter. And I have fond memories growing up as a kid, watching my dad go in his olive green VW bus, which I put Flower Child stickers on in 1969, and that's a whole nother story. But he would drive once a week to get help from a chiropractor. I still don't know exactly what the manipulations are that you guys do, even after going to medical school. But I got to tell you, I have a warm place in my heart for what a chiropractor does, because you guys kept my dad strong enough, together enough, so he could go out there and be a carpenter. So from many years ago, I give you great thanks for all that you do. So tell us how you became a chiropractor. Where did the inspiration come from for you to decide this is what you want to do?
Well, like most people as a kid growing up athletic, the pre-stage for growing into a weekend warrior. And I had a lot of injuries. Oh. And we have a lot of medical doctors in the family, which is great. And certain conditions I would run into, I couldn't get better quick enough to get back out on the court or the field. My parents went to chiropractors since they were young as well. And my first experience going to a chiropractor, I was about age 9. And amazed by how quickly I was able to get over the musculoskeletal injuries, the classic, hurting your neck and having your ear stuck on your shoulder and not being able to turn your head. 1 or 2 visits, and I was back to normal. So that's kind of where it started with the speed of recovery.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So what did your dad do for a living?
My father was in the printing industry. And he took a few falls off of some very large printing presses as a young man and hurt his back and was always able to recover quickly through chiropractic.
Interesting. And so tell us what it is that you guys are doing. You have special tables. There's a deep kind of tissue work and bony work. Can you summarize it in a couple of sentences?
Sure. It's mostly musculoskeletal. It's the muscles and the bones working together. Mm-hmm. You can have fancy tables. I don't need the fancy tables. The fancy part for me is my hands. Mm-hmm. Basically, we're creating mobilization where things get stuck. You try to get them moving again. and we put things back into alignment, which essentially stops the future degenerative process from taking place.
And tell us about comedy. Tell us about how you're dealing with patients, in an average day or week. How many patients are you seeing?
Anywhere between 150 to 200 office visits.
So you have to connect with each and every one of these patients, and each person is a tiny little audience. How
Absolutely.
do you
like you, I was raised in the classic New York Jewish environment, so there was always a lot of comedy there. a bunch of smart Alex, if you will. So I story tell all day long, and they're basically life experiences, and you hit the nail on the head. You size up who your audience is, and you try to connect and relate. And, your day has to be fun. And if people are laughing, they're getting better. They're releasing endorphins. They're feeling good. So the laughter really speeds the healing process.
So what kind of stories are you telling them?
Well, most of them have to do with things that you've done in life, your own personal blunders, the mistakes you've made, all the trials and tribulations. And you can add in a little embellishment because that's what we do.
And how about art? You fond of art?
Absolutely.
Do you do it yourself?
You know what? As a youth, I tried. I was never great at it. I took a masterpiece, or what I thought was a masterpiece. I spent weeks on a painting, and goofing around as a kid, I had somebody chasing me with a bucket of water. They threw the water at me. I ducked, and it hit my masterpiece. The whole thing ran, and that was sort of the end of my painting career. But I have a fondness for sculpting, and that's why I was always intrigued by what you do.
Well, you as a chiropractor, the concept of working with your hand, kneading the muscles, you probably would be a terrific clay sculptor. For me, I just love the stone carving part, how hard it is. The harder it is, the more I seem to want to gravitate towards it. But I think no matter what you do in life, what distinguishes the good from the great are two things: the ability to mock yourself and see the humor, and also to see your craft as an art form, no matter what it is that you're doing.
Absolutely. The big sculpting for me is when I take that patient who's got a terrible scoliosis and is completely bent and crooked, and to be able to remold that body, that spine, back into a straight, upright position, essentially saving a life, that's where most of my sculpting takes place. So
what's the most common injury that you see in a weekend warrior?
Majority of it is low back problems. What happens is, with most athletes, the low back starts to break down, the lumbar spine. It starts to develop some calcium deposit, which is essentially a form of arthritis. They start to get a compression of the discs down in the low back. Therefore, they lose speed, agility, that ability to spring and jump like they used to. They can't hit the brakes real hard to start and stop real quickly. So what we do is when that person comes in, they're basically giving up what they love to do. We take a very, very detailed digital X-ray, and if we can locate where the degeneration is coming from, there's a whole bunch of techniques that we can actually do to reverse that degenerative process, slowly start to break down the calcium deposits that are in there. They start to get better mobility. They start to be able to jump, start, and stop quicker. And we get better electrical function coming out of the spine. The person gets back to doing the sport that they love, and therefore the byproduct is they typically lose weight, and they return back to a vital weekend warrior.
Yeah, fantastic. All right, Randy, you're just something else. And do you have a feeling about surfing?
Yeah, as a kid, I did plenty of surfing, local here in California. And one of our favorite things we used to do is we used to surf from midnight till 6 in the morning on a full moon. Wow. It was an amazing time in life.
You don't surf anymore?
I haven't had the time to do a whole lot of it. I have a young child that absorbs an enormous amount of my time.
Okay, all right, gotcha. Because let me tell you, I was out yesterday. There's a huge swell coming in. Those waves were so big and so powerful, and the water temperature already is changing. So we live in Southern California. It's 85 degrees out. But the only way I can feel the change of the seasons is in the ocean. and it's cold. It's wintertime now in the ocean. It may be 85 degrees, but it's wintertime now in the water. It's really incredible.
I actually know what the surf looked like because I was riding up the coast on my motorcycle with my 8.5-year-old son looking at the surf. So if I can't be in it, at least I get to see it.
All right, Randy, guess what? You've just won a $75 Cycle Gear gift card.
I love it.
Cycle Gear is the nation's largest retailer of motorcycle apparel and accessories and has just opened new stores in Culver City and Huntington Beach. I can't believe I'm giving it to the guest, but why not? Since you're riding a motorcycle, you can use this stuff.
Fantastic. That's a perfect fit.
Randy, thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Have a great day and continue to do what you do. It's an amazing show.
Thank you very much, Randy.